So 2 weeks ago we had the developer direct, which was great, with the exception that StarField wasn't there. But we already knew that StarField wasn't there. Problem is, it's been over 2 weeks, and we are promised a special event for StarField alone, and we haven't gotten it yet. So at that stage I'm going, okay, is it just because the game isn't coming out for a hot minute? Or is Bethesda really bad at keeping the hype where it needs to be? Let's talk about it. So in my opinion, it is definitely not a good place to be, not having a ton of information when a game is supposedly releasing in the first half of the year. Now, I'm still personally on the March train, but that does mean that we need a little bit of information. We need that special event to happen in February or maybe early March for that end of March release. The only downside for the end of March is, for the PC gang, is that The Last of Us Part 1 is releasing on PC, and with the show being that good, yes, I've watched it and you should too, I really dig it. It's gonna be an issue, especially if you limit it when it comes down to spending money. You might want to spend money on The Last of Us and not on StarField. That's a possibility, and it will also definitely depress player time. But when it came down to the developer direct and Xbox alone, because The Last of Us is not coming out on Xbox, there's a lull there. There's nothing in March, so that is where StarField, in my opinion, really should slot in. Now, I did that video on the release date in March a while back, and a lot of people were saying, well, it's going to be June, and I'm actually on board with that. It's still the first half of the year, and it was E3, and I thought, maybe they're going to show a bunch of stuff on E3, but that was before we knew that Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox are not going to be at the event. So what is next? Are they going to do a special event in June and then release it at the end of June? They could do that, but the only problem with June is Diablo 4 is releasing, and Diablo 4 is a huge player. It has a huge support system, and that, again, like The Last of Us in March, might depress player count, might depress the amount of hours that people put in StarField because they're playing Diablo 4. So that's why I'm thinking, Diablo 4 might not be a good month for a release for StarField, but it could be. It is still technically within the first half of the year, and that's what the website's saying in the FAQs, that StarField is releasing in the first half of 2023. And then, of course, I saw a bunch of people say, well, it's going to get delayed. September, November, like a year delay. It's all possible. I personally don't think so, though. But the signs for a delay, I'm going to admit, they're there. Lack of information. Because you have the delay that lowers the expectation rate. Like, people see the hype go down, and then you get new information, it goes back up again, and then it goes back down. That's kind of like the whole hype train that we're on. It's up and downs. But now we're definitely on the downward slope, and I'm not seeing anything that's going to bring us back up until we get the developer direct, until they say, hey, in the next week, next 2 weeks, we're going to get a developer direct, StarField only, let's go. That is going to bring the hype right back up. And I don't think they can afford further delays, because the problem with delays is that the expectation level goes up. At least personally, mine does. And when it comes down to that, you have a very big example point. Cyberpunk 2077. That game really did bad when it launched. Everyone was very hyped up over it. It got delayed multiple times. And then when it released, a lot of people had problems, especially on last gen hardware. And that didn't do well for Cyberpunk at all. Now, of course, they clawed their way out. They got that anime show, and they had more people playing after the anime show than they ever had at the beginning of selling their game, which is great. Could be great for Fallout too, actually, if I'm thinking about it. But that's just off topic again. The big problem without information is we have all this footage that you're seeing, and that's what I insert during jump cuts as much as possible, because I get stuck in my words sometimes and I have to claw my way out. put a jump cut in there. It looks like I'm talking continuously, but I'm not because I'm hiding it behind footage. But you've seen this footage, and that's the problem. We want something new. We want to put new stuff in there so people are more excited than going, oh, well, you know what? I've seen this. Not just once, not just twice, but everywhere and a million times. Give us some more footage. We got some more stuff to choose from while we talk and continue to hype up your game. Because that's what YouTubers do. The entire community does on Reddit and everywhere else. We're trying to keep that momentum going. But if we don't get information to keep that momentum going, that's a problem, not just for us, but for you as well, because we are essentially the source of free advertising. We make your game or break your game if you don't, well, come out with the game or come out with information in a timely manner. And I think right now we are on a string, right? They cast out. They already got us because we want that game. But that string is under a lot of tension right now. And if it takes too long to reel us in, that string's going to break. And I really don't want that for StarField, because StarField is one of the games that is 100% the game that keeps Xbox rolling and going for a long, long time. Anyway, we need that special event. And inside that special event, we need the release date. So the end conclusion here, we need to have all this information so we can keep the hype going. If we don't have information, we can't do that. And that string that I talked about earlier, it's gonna snap. And we don't want that. We need success. We need success for Bethesda because they make a ton of great games, and the success of StarField, that's gonna impact all the games going forward, like Fallout, which I'm also a huge fan of. Really wonder what you guys think, what your opinion is, what your discussion points are. Please put them in the comment section below. I'd love to read them, and I'd love to continue the story, continue talking about it, because it's one of my favorite things to do. This is truly a way for me to keep my sanity while I'm waiting on this #1 game to come out. At least #1 for me right here, right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already and you like this type of content, because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I know it's tall order, but we will see. And as always, hashtag game for the sake of gaming, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Oh no, I have a cat here. Kitty, kitty. No, you're screwing up my green screen, bro. Look, it's a kitty. It's a kitty. I love you. I love you, kitty. Okay, put the kitty down. Oh, there's such a distraction. I love him though. Little outtake for a video. Cats.